border guard. I never learned the lingo anyway. I see too many hungry people trying to find work in the good old USA. Well, a woman with 3 children in the line reached out her hand to me. On a wrinkled piece of paper were these words, written plainly I could see. Her husband must have sent it to her from where he found work across the border. It just said, meet me, my darling, in Mississippi, California. Mississippi, California. No such place I'm gonna warn ya. But I'm gonna bend the law. I'm gonna let you cross that border. Mississippi, California. Across the Rio Grande. Where dreams never die. I know we can survive. In the cotton fields of Mississippi, Mississippi, California.
Folks, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show. Joined today by a dear friend of the program and follower of the Dow, Peter Rowan. Welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Jake, good to be back with you, man.
I wanted you to talk to younger cats out there, especially about, in terms of songwriting, patience. When I say, did it require a lot of patience to write good songs, or did they come to you in blasts of improvisational fury?
They come in a mysterious, sort of discombobulated rush of ideas, and the original language may or may not be the best language to express the idea.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it could be that the initial impulse to write it down is more shorthand, and then my tendency is to flesh it out and see that it's over fleshed out with adverbs and adjectives, and then start pulling things back out again until, if I can find a few good, not words that directly rhyme, but a few good rhymes, it helps me remember it.
Can you think of it, well, the song you just played, for instance, where did the genesis of that song come from?
That came from a border crossing I made down in Nogales.
Oh, in Arizona.
Yeah, and I went across the border and wandered around down in the Mexican side, and then we were doing a show, me and Jerry Douglas were doing a show down there for the State Department. And
what administration was sponsoring this?
that was way back when, back in the 80s. But we had a little free time, and the border was just right there, and went across, and I took my sketchbook and I was sketching people that I saw, it's just a different world. It's just across the border, and
but you felt like something about was it a multi-sensory experience?
Well, no. I took a bus or shuttle back from Mexico to, was it town Tucson?
Yeah.
Yeah, and as we passed through Nogales, an Indian woman with a baby in her arms passed her hand through the window, begging. A woman with 3 children in the line reached out her hand to me. On a wrinkled piece of paper, all these words written plainly I could see. So I made that part up. In that anybody who crosses the border may not really know where they're going, but especially back in those days, there's just the idea somebody would be going to California, but maybe picking cotton, so they called it Mississippi, California. And so I played with that for a while, and simplified the words. In fact, it's been many a year now. It's been more than 20, 30 years. And I think I finally got it right. It's just a song that I tried to do a narrative where at first the border guard doesn't let the woman cross, and then the next day he goes to sleep that night, and the next day he comes back and says, I'm going to let you cross. So I've changed that so that you hear the same chorus twice. I'm going to let you cross the border.
Yeah, no, I dig. I mean,
because that's the key to the song, is that somebody is going to have compassion for somebody. Yeah.
the two cats that were go guys for you. I just had a luscious dinner, and you talked about Buell Neidlinger and Jerry Garcia.
Right.
They were both green light guys for you. Take them each one at a time. What do you mean? And also, were you petrified to take that dive?
No, I had met Buell in the days of Earth Opera, and he was an institution around Boston in that he played jazz with everybody, but he was also friends with a friend of mine, Paul Leonard, who was the lead guitarist for a rock and roll band called The Far Cry. And of course, that's an Eric Dolphy title.
Of course.
So The Far Cry.
Did they make any albums? Or
yeah, they did.
Wow.
In fact, they made an album for that label in New York that came out of Albert Grossman's office. They had a one-shot deal. But a friend of mine was in that band, played saxophone, and every saxophone player in that era was indebted to both Pharoah Sanders and John Coltrane, and they would sing through their instruments. And one of the things that I picked up from my friend who I lived with for some time, Richard Martin, who had been to Brazil, and he'd been down the Amazon and for his Harvard doctoral thesis on cocoa as a medicine. And his theory was that music should never be rehearsed.
Right.
Now, that is not what most people think. But
some people feel they need months to get stuff together.
Well, that's sort of the thing is that, I had come back from working with Bill Monroe, and being a child of those times, I wanted to open up into what people started calling experimental music, or, free form, a little more free form, free jazz kind of thing.
And not necessarily electric, acoustic.
Every kind. But
it didn't matter.
But the electric, we used to go over to Buell Neidlinger's house, and he'd be standing on the couch in the living room, and he'd have his electric bass on.
Wow,
and he was not Buell the symphony bass player at that moment, but he was drawing upon all his jazz experience with Cecil Taylor and
he was playing electric
Stan
bass?
Gates. Yeah.
So you had a love affair with the electric bass, like Swallow
yeah,
did.
totally. And when you say, did I hesitate? Well, it was intimidating, but all those guys were green light guys. They were just like, yeah, man, go. You do it. Whatever it is, you do. And even Tony Rice, I used to take it as a kind of like a joke when he'd whip off a solo on the guitar and look over at me and he'd go wild, man, go wild. It's like, I don't think I can go wild, but I can get a tone. Anyway, so I started working on tone with those guys, and it was after that we were in a band called C Train, and Buell used to come to our gigs. In fact, we played the summer theater circuit in Massachusetts and with the Boston Symphony, and Buell was in the symphony playing the big double bass, and we followed the symphony at Tanglewood. And
C Train did.
Yeah, and at Tanglewood, and Buell stayed around for our gig. These were the days of the vision, smoking and having the vision. And when I came west to play with Jerry after 2.5, 3 years with C Train, I came out because my brothers were here. working with David Grisman, and
In Stinson.
in Stinson Beach. And one day, I used to get up in the morning and go out and smoke a bunch of dope and sit around with Dave Grisman out on the sand dunes in Stinson and play bluegrass. And bluegrass, you know, was way down on the ladder of even people knowing about it. You know, it was an obscure form of music. And yet it had everything in it from, you know, Arabic and Spanish, and had so much in it. But Monroe's wisdom was let the music speak for itself. So we went up to Jerry Garcia's house in Stinson Beach, and we
Well, David said, he goes, Jerry picks too. You
yeah,
know?
Jerry's up the hill, so
He likes to pick.
he likes to pick. That's exactly what he said.
Exactly.
I must have told you that before.
No, I mean, can you talk about being a Yankee in the South when you went down there with Lamar?
Well, let me just say that from that moment,
Yeah.
Jerry confirmed everything that I had felt that I wanted to try and express, you know. And I started singing like an Indian chant at the end of Land of the Navajo, which I had just written. And he just looks and smiles and nods his head, and it was like, yeah, he was a green light guy. But as far as being a city billy or a Yankee hillbilly, I think I was raised by my parents the same way that Bill Monroe was raised, and I think we had a bond that way.
How was Bill Monroe raised?
Oh, well, you know, it just the values, family values of thinking of others, getting along. I mean, he had 6 brothers. He had to get along with all of them. In fact, when he started working in the oil refineries up in Detroit, he used to go in and sign in everybody, including himself, and then do the work for all of them, and then pass the money through the chain link fence to the brothers who never showed up for the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
In Detroit?
Yeah, it was Detroit, I believe, or it could have been Chicago, because he became a dancer on the WLS barn dance, and we think that's where he heard the song that became Kentucky Waltz, which is a Hawaiian song we'd like to do for you right now.
Beautiful. Peter Rowan.
Come here.
Yeah, wonderful.
No.
Yes. So this is Tsuki-chan, and she's going to sing the original Hawaiian version of Kentucky Waltz,
Oh.
1915.
Woo!
And I long once more for you embrace and that beautiful Kentucky. Whoa.
This is the Jake Feinberg Show. We'll see you later.